He's having a really good time celebrating his birthday. Yesterday, you should have received an email about our new membership dues initiative, and that I've mentioned would be forthcoming a few weeks ago. It gives you some social media outlets to follow, share, and use, as well as several documents that you can cut and paste or mail to prospective members or use for talking points. So check your email if you don't remember seeing it. I've personally used the documents and sent out as an email to follow up on a couple of our past speakers, try to express our interest in having them join us. If you remember, Bruno from Full Court Press a few months back has already replied that he is interested in joining, and I have no doubt that one of these documents helped seal that deal. Also, those of you watching on our live stream, don't forget you can join in on President-elect Catherine Staub's Zoom pre-meeting chat, which starts at 11:50 every Thursday before our meeting. Now, what other Rotary Club is going to do more to try to keep you to stay connected than what this Rotary Club of Des Moines does for you? We're really trying. And with that, I think we'll have someone come up and introduce our speaker for today. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped. So let's have Carter Smith come up, who's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on in his committee.
Thanks, Doug, for fitting us in here today. Hi, everyone. Great to see you all. Ultimately, today, we'd love to share a couple updates on the International Service Committee and the great work that the members are doing. And really, two things I want to cover. So one is an update on the partner project we are running with the Midday Club of Mexico. And then also second, opportunities for our committee to fund projects here in 2021. So as you're aware, our club engages leaders who serve our community and create lasting impact and change. And in sharing an update about this work last year, our club committee has had an opportunity to deliver funds to the dry composting toilet project in partnership with the Midday Club in Mexico. And they're already seeing some real great lasting change and real good impact. The club, with completion of the phase 2 of that project, will deliver education and training on building, using, and maintaining self-constructed dry composting toilet projects to 135 families in the San Miguel de Allende community, and really benefiting families that before didn't have running water or facilities to use on a daily basis. So phase 2 of that project, or phase 1 of that project, has already seen 60 of those facilities installed. And with phase 2, that'll see an additional 135. We continue to support them in their work where we can, and are building lasting relationships with members of that club, and hoping to support them going forward. And secondly, wanted to transition into what the committee has been doing in this past few months and into 2021. We'd like to again support a project that benefits communities and hopefully creates lasting impact. And with that, we just opened up an application process where we're looking to award $5,000 to a worthy project. And a few of the pieces of criteria that we're looking for includes one, that the project aligns to one of Rotary's 7 focus areas. Two, the mission of the project is really their efforts are to create sustainable impact and benefit global communities. And then also, thirdly, looking to work with an organization or sponsor club that is located here within our community. So what I might ask of you is if there's any ideas or any organizations that might come to mind, please visit the website, rotaryclubofdesmoines.org, where the application exists. And if there's any individuals or organizations that you feel we should be in contact with, the application would be a great starting point. We're looking to receive applications for worthy projects by March 23rd, and then our committee will then be able to review the applications and then deliver funds to a worthy project. So I just want to end with just thanking all the great work that the committee has been doing this year, and look forward to working with anyone that's interested in supporting our efforts. Thanks.
Okay, Kitty, do you think now I can have Dave Dixon come up? All right, Kitty says you can come up now, Dave. And before you do get here, I want to remind everyone, if you have a question for our speaker, if there's time, please come up to the microphone and at the front of the room, state your name so people out watching our live stream or YouTube at a later time will know who you are. And Kitty will be doing a marginal job of sanitizing the microphone between speakers. Probably better than I'm doing here running the show today.
When I first met John Hawkins, today's speaker, I was impressed with a couple things. First of all, and second of all, when he works with young, it's a tight ship. And I think some of this comes from his 31 years serving in the military, in the Army Reserves, including a tour in Iraq. John is from the St. Louis area. His wife comes from the Chicago area. They moved to Ames in about 1997 when they're all grown now and on their own. They're the parents of 2 grandchildren, the youngest one being 7. John has a background in social services and working with people, especially young people, and a lot of them young boys and men. When he came back, or young boys and young men, when he came back from Iraq, he started an organization called Boys2Men. And he's been running this ever since, pretty much on his own with the help of his wife, Ronnie. If you remember, a couple years ago, around Christmas time, we took donations for winter coats, stocking caps, and gloves. And 2 years ago, one of the organizations that received some of those items was his organization, Boys2Men. So without stealing any of his thunder, I'm going to turn it over to him to tell you more about this organization and what they do. John?
Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you about my program, Boys2Men. We've actually expanded the name to Boys2Men Youth Programs because we've been looking at trying to do some different things as we continue to grow. As Dave said, my wife and I started the program back in 2008 after I had the opportunity to attend a couple of high school graduations as well as an elementary school promotion ceremony. During the time that I was at those graduation ceremonies, I noticed that our boys were being recognized, well, the students were being recognized for their accomplishments during their time in high school. However, the number of girls that were being recognized far outnumbered the number of boys that were being recognized. And just so you know, just trying to be transparent with you, I have no idea why this was bothering me, why it even bothered me. I also noticed that on the stage, there were, at one of the graduation ceremonies, there was no male representation on the stage. All of the presenters, all of the speakers, anybody that had an active role in the graduation ceremony was female. And again, it bothered me, and I have no idea as to why it bothered me at the time. When I went to the second graduation ceremony, this scenario played itself out again. This time, there was one on the stage, and his role in the ceremony was to pick up the diplomas and hand them to the principal, who shook the students' hands and congratulated them for graduating. And I think at this point I was really annoyed, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I went to my son's fifth grade elementary school promotion ceremony to middle school, and it played itself out again. To make matters even worse, in the elementary school, they even had a girls group that they recognized during the ceremony, and they had nothing for the boys. And I think I had taken I had seen it all that I could take, and I proceeded to have a conversation with the principal at the school to see if there was something that we could do to make sure that our boys had something similar to what they were doing with the girls, because whatever they're doing with the girls seemed to be pretty successful. In addition to that, as Dave said, I also work as a juvenile probation officer. Um, Again, in an attempt to be somewhat transparent, I'm not at this point. I'm not just a juvenile court officer. I am the chief juvenile court officer for the 5th Judicial District, which is the biggest district in the state. I mean, in the entire state. So I see kids. I've seen kids come through our system, and a lot of the boys that come through our system, if you ever get a chance to really talk to them, sit down and talk to them, what you'll find is that there's really not a whole lot of male interaction, adult male interaction that these kids have with males in the community. Positive male interaction. So I was motivated to start the program, and my wife and I took on the I guess, work in our lives to do something different for our kids in the community. So we started Boys2Men. And Boys2Men is a leadership program directed primarily at 5th grade boys. Now, there's a reason why it's only 5th grade boys that we started with, and that's because it was just me. I didn't have any. This wasn't a collaboration that we had with other community leaders. This was a need that I saw needed to be met, and I felt like I can make it. And so I started the program, but it didn't take me long to realize that it's not just 5th grade boys that needed the program. What we realized is that honestly, we should be starting with these boys as early as the kindergarten, and then stand with them through elementary school, and then passing them on to a program that specializes in working with middle school age boys. There's a reason why I don't want to expand the program to middle school age boys, and it's personal, and I'm gonna share it with you. And I hope you don't throw your glasses at me or anything for what I'm about to say. But personally, I don't like middle school age kids. I just don't. I think the body is in such a state of flux that the kid, when a middle school age kid says to you, "I don't know why I did it," they honestly don't know why they did it. And listen, I'm telling you this. They pointed out we have 4 children. And right now they are 29, 26, 24, and 22. That means we went 10 straight years with a middle school age kid in the house. Okay, so I'm speaking from experience. When they hit that age, something happens to the body, and I'm waiting on science to tell me what it is, because I'm lucky and blessed that I made it through that time without having to do any prison time. So, that being said, again, we primarily focus on 5th grade boys. Every now and then, I have to pull a 4th grader in or a 3rd grader, because they have the older sibling is in the program, and they go home together. And so, we try to work some things with them as well. Bring the program down to a level where they can understand and receive what we're trying to do. And so I'm teaching the kids leadership skills. And in the process of teaching them leadership skills, we're doing mentoring, we're doing some bonding, we're teaching them things about basic life skills. We're talking to them about hygiene and being respectful. We try to take them out to different trips and trying to expose them to different things. The biggest thing that I found that has the biggest impact on them when we take them out is when we take them to the Capitol complex. We've been able to take them to the Iowa Supreme Court building, and actually have some of the justices over the years come down and actually have a conversation with the kids about what the court does and how they do what they do. They answer questions for the kids, and the kids amazingly are really intrigued by what the judges the justices are saying, and in their innocence, they ask some questions, some inappropriate questions, about some specifics of that's come to their decisions, but it's a really good experience, and then they get to understand that those buildings, the Capitol building, the Iowa Supreme Court building, those buildings are our buildings. They're the buildings of the people, and to have the opportunity to walk through that building and basically go into any room in the building that you want to go in, if they're not exposed to this, if nobody exposes this to them, they never know that these are their buildings. As Dave pointed out, I was born and raised in St. Louis, and I came from a situation where my dad was murdered when I was 5 years of age, and when I was in high school, my mom was strung out on drugs for a while, and as a result, we didn't have a whole lot. And the St. Louis Arch sat there all my life, and I didn't make it up to the top of that arch until 2003. Not because I wasn't interested, but one, we couldn't afford to go up in that arch, and then two, I didn't really know how to get up into the arch. And when I got old enough to do so, I really wasn't interested because I had kids, and I felt like when I go up, I'll experience that with my kids. So I waited till 2003, and my wife and I took our kids up into that arch, and my kids can't say that they haven't been exposed to these different things. And so what I wanted to do with Boys2Men was to share some of these same experiences with with the kids that we're working with. As Dave pointed out, I am a veteran of, it's actually 30 years and 11 months. That's Army math, right? So I'm kind of hard on the kids. I have high expectations of them, and during the time that we're meeting, we meet once a week. At this point, we're currently at, before the pandemic, we had finally reached 4 schools. We started out at Monroe Elementary School, and then about 5 years later, we started at Edmonds Academy, and then from Edmonds Academy, we branched out to Samuelson, and then from Samuelson, we ended up at Carver. We were just starting up at Carver right as the pandemic hit, so we really weren't able to do a whole lot there. But in each of those instances, at Monroe, we were averaging somewhere between 15 to 18 kids that finished the program through the year. Edmonds, we were looking at 7 to 12 that would finish usually. Samuelson, we had 16 because we had just finished our first year there. And at Carver, we had 9 kids, with more kids becoming interested in the program after they started to hear about the program. We also provide the kids with a snack every week, and the snack money, funds, and whatnot come out of my wife and I pockets. But what we've learned about the snack is that sometimes the kids go overboard with the snacks because they're not getting as much as they need to eat at home. So, we try to have something meaningful, something substantial, if possible. We have pizza parties throughout the year so that, we can kind of break things up. As it stands right now, we provide them with athletic opportunities where, we play sports with them. We actually take them on, going back to that whole exposure things, we take them on different trips. We've been able to take them to the Iowa Barnstormer games, to Iowa Energy games, to the Iowa Hall of Pride, and at the same time have some of those individuals from those agencies and businesses come in and have conversations with the kids. We are also a Boy Scout troop, Troop 190, where we've been able to collaborate with the Boy Scouts to through their community-based programming to provide these kids with additional resources and access to things that they actually would not otherwise have. So one of the things that we did through the Boy Scouts is that we went fishing, and I didn't realize how excited the kids would be about fishing because I'm not a fisherman. I'm a city kid, and I don't really understand fishing. So it's somewhat. I just don't get it. I don't see how you sit there and wait for the fish to I just I just don't get it. But the kids got it, and that was really all that mattered at that point. Um, in addition to that, we've the Boy Scouts have also allowed us to take the kids out to Woodward, out to their big campus out there, and participate in those activities and shoot BB guns and arrows, bows and arrows, and play different games that they otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to do. Um, at the end of since it's a leadership program throughout the year at each school, I'm looking for one kid that stands out, right? Um, and since all of the kids um, don't necessarily make it to the end of the year, at the end of the year, all of the kids that actually do make it through the program get a leadership trophy. It's not a participation trophy because you have to get to the end of the year, right? And it's intentionally difficult in some ways for kids to make it through the program because again, I'm looking for leaders. And this program isn't directed at minority youth. It's not directed specifically at-risk kids because I believe that all kids are at risk depending on what they're exposed to and what we don't know is what's going on in the home and in those individual communities. So it's directed at boys, fifth grade boys at the schools that we're in, and if they're willing to participate, listen to what I'm asking them to do, take the direction, and then eventually make it to the end of the year, then they'll get their leadership trophy. However, there's a kid at each school that will eventually get what I call my Leader of the Leaders trophy. And so everybody else will get the small trophy, and the leader of the leader gets this big trophy. And the kids know this, from day one, from the first day of programming, that I'm looking for the kid that's standing out. And it's not just showing up on the up to the program on a Monday, depending on what day of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. But it's also making sure you get your grades. The kids are not allowed to get more than 3 office referrals per semester, during the time that they're in the program. And if they hit that 4th one in either one of those semesters, they're no longer allowed to remain in the program. And I do that because I really want the kids to value being in the program, and it also gives the school the ability to be able to say, you know what, we're trying to work with you, but you're not working with us. And so if you can't get it together, we're going to pull you from the program. And so the school has the ability to be able to pull the kid from the program as well. And I think that's a collaboration effort to kind of balance things. Since everything that we do is strictly voluntary, I have a little power where the program is concerned. So the schools can't necessarily tell me, no, you can't do that. You can't have the kids do what I call the overhead clap when they're not cooperating. And if the schools don't want me to do those type of things, then I can choose to leave the school and I can do the program somewhere else. However, what I found is that the schools appreciate what we're doing, and throughout the day, most weeks we get calls from the schools regarding some kids in the program where I've had to take earned time off to go and address some issues that kids are having in the schools in order to cut down on some of the confusion in the schools. So a lot of times when we show up, the schools are happy, the school staff are happy that we showed up, the kids are happy, and we're usually able to de-escalate that kid. Sometimes it's just a matter of a conversation on the phone, but I'm finding that we're really having an impact on the kids that we're working with, and the number of kids that are coming through my system through the job isn't as high as I think it as I think it once was. That's not to say that we still don't see some of them because we don't reach all of them, but those that we're reaching, I think we're really making a difference in their lives. The parents are appreciative of the work that we're doing. The schools are appreciative. I think the community as a whole are appreciative of what we're doing. And I think the schools, Des Moines Public Schools at this point, are appreciative of what we're doing because every time we talk to a different school about coming in, they're more than willing to have the conversation and invite us in. As I said before, our funding sources are primarily my wife and I. We have some volunteers that provide funding for us. We have some volunteers that want to know specific activities that we're doing that we would like to have funding for, and they assist us. They assist us with it. We have one donor that gives $50 gift cards to every kid in the program, and we have 4 schools at this point. $50 gift cards to each kid for Christmas. You know, Walmart gift cards for each kid each Christmas. We give them those, and we have some other contacts that we're working with who, through Toys for Tots, they provide us with toys and whatnot for the kids, and then we take those same toys, we wrap them, and then we give each kid a minimum of 2 gifts every year to make sure that they have something when they go home. And what we're finding is that $50 gift card goes a long way because the kids go home, they give it to the parents, and then a lot of the parents use the money to make sure that they have halfway decent Christmas dinner. We have some business owners that have contributed. We're also with United Way. We're also a 401c3 where we are not for profit. We've gotten funding through Facebook and volunteers, private donors, as well as through the Boy Scouts, because our boys don't have to pay to be in the Boy Scout program. We don't have to pay those fees. Our goals moving forward, the primary one is to continue to expand and make a difference in the kids' lives that we're working with. And ideally, if I had my choice, I would like to go back to the first or second grade, and no later than the 3rd grade, to begin working with these kids, and then collaborate with some of the programs that are in middle schools and high schools, where we pass these kids on to them. We pass it on to them, they take it to the next level, and then they pass the kids on to the high schools. We're looking at eventually getting a couple of vehicles for the program to help with transportation costs, computers, tablets, printers, additional volunteers, and then do some traveling outside of the state of Iowa, and then eventually grow to the point where we can start to bring in on full-time staff. In conclusion, I just want to say this. Frederick Douglass said that it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And where Boys2Men is concerned, this is really what this is about. We're really trying to build our kids up so that we don't have to, at some point, look at trying to repair broken men once they become adults. Questions?
I have 2 questions for you. You mentioned all of the things that you have exposed your students to. I did not hear that you've ever taken them to visit a public library. And I knew I'd get a laugh out of my Rotary friends from that. And do you ever give them books as a personal, so that they're their own books and have their personal library?
Prior to the pandemic breaking out, it's interesting that you brought that up. Prior to the pandemic breaking out, we were in the process of trying to find a book. When I was growing up, one of my favorite books was Encyclopedia Brown, and I think it's Hardy Boy, yeah, it's Nancy Drew Hardy Boys, right? And so we were in the process of trying to get donations so that we can get the books. That's the challenge, the biggest challenge that we have, trying to find resources to be able to get the books so that each kid could have a book. And with us being in 4 schools, that's that much more expensive. Yeah.
Keep working on that. The important thing for everybody is to have 3 libraries: their school library, the public library, and their own personal library. And so learning that at an early age is important. And as you see, Rotary believes in books also.
I'll keep that in mind.
Thanks for your good work. Boy, appreciate it. What do you do to attract the kids, like at the beginning of a school year? Because I assume they voluntarily are joining.
So at the beginning of the year, I make contact with the principal, we schedule a day for us to come in and do our initial presentation. And depending on the school, what happens is that either they will set aside some time where all of the fifth grade boys are released from class, and then they'll come and we'll do a presentation for the kids, or the school will have the kids rotate out of class into the meeting, and then what we end up doing is doing the presentation 4 or 5 times for each individual group, and then they come and they have the opportunity. You know, we're not pushing any kids away if they want to be in the program, and after they hear what we're saying. And some kids, like I said, they don't make it to the end of the year, even after they hear, you know, what it is that we're doing. You know, I had one kid who he has some pretty serious problems, and you know, we're as patient as we can be. We do realize that a lot of the kids have issues. So, you know, we're as hard as I am, I'm just as patient, right? So this particular kid was having some struggles, and you know, we were trying to be as patient as we could be, and he saw the benefits of coming, but some of the behaviors that he was exhibiting were too far out of, I guess, compliance with what I'm expecting in the program, and it at some point became detrimental to the rest of the kids to have him there than to have him gone. So I had to let him go. But to answer your question, we have that initial meeting. Kids come, they get a chance to figure out whether or not they want to be there, and then the vast majority of them stay throughout the end of the year. And then, you know, at the end of the year, I was talking about the trophies. It's not just a trophy presentation; it's a celebration. You know, we take them to Sky Zone and Pizza Ranch, and we celebrate the time that they spend in the program throughout the year. And in the process, you know, they get to show off and have some fun in the end.
John, my name is David Oman. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I have a question and an observation for you. The question is this: has anyone in the room today invited you to join Rotary?
No.
I just did.
Okay.
You exude many of the traits that are represented in the 4-way test. We'd be honored if you would think about it. All right? I mean that. Secondly, some of us in the room know a gentleman who's been retired for many years, Thomas Phillips, who was an executive at Pioneer, what was then called Pioneer. It's gone through some name changes. And he's done a lot of work over many decades helping, mentoring young men and women in the minority community. And just a couple of weeks ago in a conversation, he shared a simple thought that I haven't passed on, but you give me a great opportunity to do that. In talking to young people, and yours are really a younger cohort, he has found that it's one thing to say to them, you should aspire to go to college. And they go, yes, we'll go to college. He's changed his vocabulary, and now what he talks to them about is finishing college and instilling in them that you pursue it, you can get some help, you can get there, but it's on you to finish it. I thought I'd pass that on.
And actually, I think I know Thomas. I think he's more familiar with my wife. We have a catering company. She's not as active as she used to be, and Thomas used to make contact with us pretty often.
Hi, John. My name is Bob Federal.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
First of all, thank you for your service to the country and also our community in what you do. It's noble work. Thank you. I'm just curious, do you have any alumni, they go through the program, do you ever have meetings with the graduates, if you will, down the road? And are you tracking some of these kids to see what stage they are in their life and what they're accomplishing?
Okay. Some. What's your name again? David. To Dave's point, my kids, they're real young when I start working with them, and they make the transition into middle school and then into high school. Some of the kids, they reach out. I'm Facebook friends with some of them, and I'm able to track, where they are. Others, have gone on to do some things that don't necessarily make the program look good, and then others, they've gone on and just lived their lives. And so the kids that I am in contact with, you know, periodically I'll reach out to them to see how different kids are doing. But it's real difficult to track them once they leave elementary school. Yeah.
John, my name is Hal Chase, and I'm a retired professor and banker. Are you familiar with a book entitled Outside In, African American History in Iowa, 1838 to 2000?
I think my wife has the book. Don't quote me on it, but I think she
Sorry.
has it at the house. But
And then the other is, would you be interested in having 15 or 17-minute little programs? It's actually a video that focus on the highlights of our African American history.
yes,
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
yes.
Randy Worth. I will echo my others that have said thank you for coming and for the work you do. At what age or what situations of peer pressure are the boys experiencing that may keep them out of your program or makes them leave it?
That's a tough question, but I would say as early as the first and second grade. Because there's some kids, as soon as they hit the program and they see the structure and the requirements for being in the program, they're right back out the door. I never see them. They don't come back the second week. So it really just depends on the school and what's going on in the home, as well as the kids that they decide to be friends with. I was going. I lost the thought. While you were talking, I had a thought about something that you said. Yes. Okay. So the peer pressure, it really depends on the age. So a couple of the groups that I do are substance abuse and sexual activity. And remember, I'm working with primarily fifth grade boys. And in most cases, I have yet to find a school that I've been in that where we didn't have at least one kid in the program that had used drugs and or drank alcohol. The alcohol usually comes from a older sibling or an uncle, and then then I've had kids, fifth graders, who are sexually active already. So it really just depends on where they are and in their community and who they're interacting with. I don't know if you can pinpoint one specific age, but fifth grade boys are already sexually active. All right, but thank you for having me.
Thank you, John, for being with us today and your very informative and inspirational presentation. So we're donating the book, 12 Reasons to Love Track and Field. You always wonder, is there any connection here? Well, it turns out one of John's children, his daughter, had a full ride scholarship to run track at the University of Minnesota. So somehow we always make a connection there with that book. And I know you're going to scribble some words of encouragement to our young readers there. Thank you all for being with us today, whether here in person or out there in cyberspace. Upcoming speakers. Next week, March 18th, Gary Scrutchfield, Skilled Trades Alliance, speaking about hands-on, work-based educational programs for Des Moines area students. March 25th, David Muth, Alternative Equity Advisors, speaking about monetizing sustainable agriculture. And on April 1st, I don't think this is a joke, is it? Okay. Tim Kirschner with Sports World. I want to thank everyone for being with us again today, being part of your Rotary Club of Des Moines, whether here now or out there in live streaming or watching later on our YouTube channel. And this weekend is daylight savings time, so make sure you change your clocks forward. Hopefully you get that accomplished before next Thursday's meeting so you do show up on time. I'm sure my wife will make sure I get that done. And most of you know my theme for this year is to leave something behind. And many days, I'm not sure what I'm going to say at that point, and usually I have something written down. I didn't today, but after listening to our speaker, John, it's very obvious that I doubt there's few of us here that are going to leave more behind in his life than what John has. Almost 31-year veteran, and taking all of his personal time to do this, not with just one school, but multiple, and week after week and year after year. That's just incredible. Thank you, John. I applaud you for that. So as you go out today for the following week, just see if you can leave something behind as well. With that, we are adjourned.